Well, welcome back in for another Seek, Gather, Create for August, and this is week 4, and our items are a window. So I've have this little die cut, and it's in green, and we need to work with green, so I have that. The color green, so I have this Granny Smith in the PaperArtsy and this So Flat by Golden in the Titan Green Pale. So I have those greens. Something blurry. I have this blurry photo of Miss Alice. It says Alice right here. And then a repeating shape. So for repeating shape, I pulled out my doodle paper pocket and went through all my doodle papers, and I found these. This is kind of interesting, maybe a little bit busy, but I do have that, and I have these circles, and I have these swirls. So I thought those might be nice, and I haven't made a decision on if I'm going to use them all or what. So that's what I have, and I've opened up to this page in my little Bricolage Factory journal. I got the tassel pulled off to work in, so it lays nice and flat without that. And so I'm going to get started with some collage. So I'm probably going to use some of this, but I'm also probably going to be pulling from my bits basket. And look what, we have a repeating shape here too. So that could be cool. So repeating shape. And yeah, so that's where I'm going to get started. And yeah, we'll go from there.
Just keep on doing what you do, doing what you do, doing what you do, what you do, doing what you like to do.
As I was picking through my bits basket, I ended up finding quite a bit of repeating patterns. So yeah, it's kind of fun. I went with one idea and kind of moved into something else, but I had a place to start. And sometimes busting that blank page phenomenon that strikes you unable to move forward, sometimes prompts or challenges like this can really assist you. And also, working in a junk journal where you already have stuff on the back page always really helps me as well. Now I had cut down the threads that was used to bind the signature into the journal, and I just didn't want them to be poking out or anything, so I wanted to cover them with some scrap washi paper I had on the side of my art table. So that's what I brought in and was like trying to get stuck down. It didn't want to stick in there, but I did get it down. And I ended up using this stenciled paper with the yellow odd-shaped ovals on it as my repeating pattern. Well, repeating shape is what the item was, something that had a repeating shape. So that's what I used for it instead of the doodle pages I had found earlier.
I know you won't let me down. the night until break of dawn. Baby, it's the two of us. I know you won't let me down. I know you won't let me down. You won't let me down. You know you make me lose my breath. Just pull me closer, baby. You know we could get undressed. You know you make me lose my breath. Just pull me closer.
So in typical me fashion, I'm coming in with some white gesso that I'm going to move around with my finger, and I'm just going to get all the collage and the base papers all kind of becoming more one rather than being separate parts. And I do that by using gesso or excuse me, some acrylic paint. I can use that as well, but usually I go to gesso because I really like the texture it also brings into things. And yeah, so that's what I'm doing here with this white gesso. I'm following up the gesso with the Titan Green Pale, and I'm pretty much following the same kind of patterning for the most part with the gesso. Again, using my finger, I'm going to be searching out some of the textural areas. And it's at this point that I'm like, I don't really have a lot of actual texture on this. I need to do something about that. But applying actual texture will come in a little bit. I do come in and after that Titan Pale Green with a green Stabilo All pencil, and I'm just making impressions in that paint. It's actually pushing the paint away from where I push that pencil. I'm on the very back end of the Stabilo All, so I get more intuitive organic type marks, and I'm just running it through the paint wherever that Titan Green Pale paint is, and a little bit outside of that, so that I do get some darker marks from that green Stabilo All. So I've selected to work with the Expand It, which is a product by Colorcraft, but I am going to get that applied with a plastic spatula or plastic palette knife, and then heat set this. And you'll notice here that I have pulled out my heat gun rather than my hair dryer because I do need to have some intense heat to activate the Expandix. Later on this month I will be having my mixed media basics, and for mixed media basics this month we'll be looking at lava paste versus this Expand It. And yeah, so keeping an eye out for that. And now I'm going to come in with that green apple and the PaperArtsy fresco paint. And once again, using my finger. Well, I try to come in with a palette knife and found it frustrating because the texture was so big that it just wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. So I do end up using my finger. So I wanted to come in with something really neutral on the whiteness of the Expand It. And I wanted an unbleached titanium white, but the only one I have is in this Liquitex Professional Heavy Body. and I was really surprised. I don't usually use it in my art journals. I don't usually use it in this method, and I was really surprised at how nicely it did exactly what I wanted it to do. It was kind of a transition into the starkness of the Expanded, but also gave me some color on the tips of some areas of that texture of the Expanded. Later on, as we go and we add more color and more contrast to this, you'll get to see that pop out even more. Because there's not a lot of contrast in this layout, I do want to come in and start adding some contrast to it. So initially I'm coming in with the Stabilo Wall in black. I'm dipping it into water and then making a bold area, and I'm trying to do that on the edges of the page. And then I'm going to spray it with my mister to really carry and dilute that color down into the texture. And I really feel like that really helped. It makes the texture pop. And from there, while that's drying, I'm going to go ahead and start working on my focal point. I knew that I wanted to use this blurry photo inside this little frame or window, if you would. And while it's not quote unquote a window, I am thinking of it as a window. Since that Stabilo All in black is dry, I'm going to come in with some more of the PaperArtsy fresco paint in Byzantium. It's a really powerful, bright, purplish kind of color. I almost want to say it's a violet. And I'm going to create some more contrast and bring in a pop of color into the layout. And I'm going to get it. I'm going to start in with just really my traditional way of catching texture and using my finger. And then I'm going to come back to that focal point. Initially, I was just going to pop this focal point up with the foam tape, and then when I looked at it, I realized that I needed some more contrast. So I went ahead and fussy cut out a background to the window in black cardstock, and I'm going to put the foam on there so it still pops up and then glue it down onto the surface of my page.
Till break of dawn, baby, it's the two of us. I know you won't let me down. Oh. I know you won't let me down.
And I knew I wanted to use some black threads behind this, so selecting those and then pulling out from looking for words to put on here. And I decided to go with a quote. Of course, it did take me a bit to find the right one, but I was pretty happy with what I did find. And I think this is one that I got from Crafty Hope. I'm not positive. Hope, let me know down in the comments if this is one that I got from you. Anyways, so yeah, this is going to be kind of where I finalize and think I'm finishing off, but spoiler alert, no.
Until break of dawn, baby, it's the two of us. I know you won't let me down. I know you won't let me me down. I know you won't let me down. You won't let me down. So this is what it means to be living in darkness. I didn't know you were the red inside my mind. No, I couldn't even tell if your shoes were yellow or if the sun had painted everything the same.
Well, I've decided that I want to handle this, adding this purple a little bit differently. I went right in with the dry brush, and I don't know, after I got it all done, I was looking at it, let it dry, and I was like, well, I should have let it bleed into the texture like I did this black. So I think I'm going to go in and just add a couple, you know, just a little bit of this color, and then use my mister to add some water and just let it bleed. I don't really want it to come down into my words here, so I have to be careful of that, but for the rest of it, no problem. So I'm just going to put a little bit, I can get a little bit onto this paper, add some to my finger, and find my highest point and get it really saturated. The problem with this paint, it doesn't really behave like, it's really thick, so it doesn't really behave the same way that a lot of other paints do. It's a heavier body. I would say it's a medium body. See how that is just bleeding down into that texture. And I was afraid it was going to take a lot of water. Just get it kind of wetter, thinner. Just keep blotting it off of my words. You can see it's starting to discolor them a little bit. I'm all right with that. I just want it to be readable, but I like that better. So I'm going to do that over here. Let's see, I guess I want to do it this way. Get this thinner before I put it on. And then come in and let that bleed out. And I just love how that effect with texture, with paint. And I'm going to do some in here. There we go. I'm much happier with that. So I'm going to get this dry and then I'll show you some finished pictures.
You are, the way you are. Keep on doing what you do, doing what you do. Just keep on doing what you do, doing what you do, doing what you do, what you do, doing what you do. Do what you like to, what you like to do, what you like to, what you like to, what you like to do. We shouldn't care about anyone or anything that brings us down. We shouldn't care about anyone who brings us down. Doing what you do, doing what you do. Just keep on doing what you do, doing